Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're not just dipping our toes in the water. We're plunging headfirst into the profound and often, well, enigmatic world of social relationships.
Mm.
Our guides for this deep dive are two extraordinary minds, Grandin and Sean Barron. They haven't just, traversed these intricate social landscapes.
Right.
They've actually illuminated the unseen pathways for us all through their unique experiences.
Yeah, it's really something.
And this isn't a beginner's guide, just to be clear.
No, definitely not.
This is for those of us already immersed in understanding human connection, looking to sharpen our discernment, deepen our empathy,
Exactly.
and truly grasp the nuanced mechanics of how we connect, or sometimes, fail to.
Indeed. Our focus for this deep dive is The Unwritten Rules of Social Relationships. It's a truly groundbreaking book, co-authored by Grandin and Sean Barron.
Right.
And what's truly fascinating here, and what we really aim to extract, is how these two successful individuals, both on the autism spectrum, offer such distinct, yet profoundly complementary perspectives.
Different lenses on the same world?
Precisely. They reveal not just what social awareness entails, but crucially, the why behind human interaction. It forces us to kind of reevaluate our own assumptions about social intelligence. They're providing us with, well, a masterclass in decoding the very fabric of human connection.
So our mission isn't merely to summarize their insights.
No.
It's to extract those razor-sharp truths from their collective wisdom. Truths that can genuinely transform our understanding of the human mind's diverse inner workings.
Yeah, peel back the layers.
Exactly. Go beyond surface observations and uncover the universal lessons gleaned from these incredibly unique journeys. You'll gain a richer, more nuanced appreciation for the diverse ways minds operate and how those differences, well, they shape social reality. So the very premise of this book is built on these contrasting experiences.
Right.
It's a powerful illustration that there isn't one singular autism experience, not at all.
It's a huge spectrum.
A vast spectrum of internal realities. And the authors propose these two distinct paths to social awareness,
Path A and Path B.
which fundamentally shape how individuals perceive and engage with the world around them. It's almost like two entirely different operating systems interpreting the same data.
That's a great way to put it. And this raises an important question. What are these fundamental differences in how social awareness unfolds? And why do they matter so profoundly?
Yeah.
Grandin, representing what they call Path A, describes her connection to the world as primarily logical and analytic.
A little scientist.
Exactly. Her happiness, her very sense of being, it stems from intellectual pursuits, from facts, from recognizing and creating patterns. She thinks entirely in pictures, as she's often described. Her self-esteem, her sense of self-worth, it's intrinsically tied to what she does, Her accomplishments, her contributions.
Not necessarily how she feels in that deep emotional sense.
Right, not in the same way. Imagine her as a highly visual logical processor, constantly building understanding piece by painstaking piece.
Like assembling data points.
Almost as if she's surfing a mental internet, yeah?
Yeah.
Retrieving specific images to construct meaning. Every social situation becomes a new data set to analyze.
And you see that so clearly in her childhood stories, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Being nonverbal until nearly 4. And her preferred activities were so focused and sensory-driven.
Right.
Like, she wasn't just playing with carpet fibers, she was investigating them. Captivated by their texture, their structure.
Strictly engaged.
Or watching sand sift through her fingers over and over. And later, her world became about projects. Building intricate kites, meticulously crafting model airplanes.
Tangible things.
Yeah. And her self-esteem, she recalls, formed bit by what she did.
Based on achievement.
Even her friendships were active, built on shared interests, like building stuff together.
Yeah.
It wasn't about, emotional bonding or gossip in the typical sense.
Right.
It wasn't until adolescence, really, that she felt out of sync with her peers when their interests shifted so dramatically to those emotional and social complexities she didn't intuitively grasp.
It's a remarkable window into a mind that constructs its understanding of the world from the ground up, based on concrete data.
A very different starting point.
Precisely. And this highlights a crucial point. For some individuals, joy and relatedness are intrinsically linked to tangible creation, to mastering a skill, and to logical engagement with their environment.
Really challenges that common neurotypical assumption.
Exactly. That all social connection must be emotionally driven. It's a completely valid, albeit different, way of experiencing and contributing to the world. And, her logical, non-emotional processing style often allows her to resolve issues with greater ease
How so?
because she observes neurotypical people creating unnecessary stress for themselves due to, well, illogical emotions distorting facts.
Ah, I see.
For Temple, information stored in her memory. It's done so without those associative emotions. It's like looking at a movie, she says. The emotions are experienced intensely in the present.
But they don't stick to the memory.
They dissipate from the memory, yeah. This allows her to make choices based on pure logic, unclouded by lingering emotional baggage.
Fascinating. Now, in stark contrast, you have Sean Barron on path B.
Right. Completely different.
He describes an immediate and profound emotional relatedness right from the start.
Yes. His world is infused with feelings. He expresses emotions eagerly, though often inappropriately in his younger years.
He feels out his world.
Through social emotional connection, yes. And he's deeply affected, even devastated, when that connection is out of sync or when his world deviates from his internal emotional rules.
So emotions aren't just an overlay for him.
No, they infuse his very being, making him emotionally demonstrative and reactive from the get-go.
And his early life really paints a vivid picture of this, often a painful one.
It does. Motivated by constant, pervasive fear. Not just situational fear tied to specific events, but a persistent, nagging feeling that just hung over him like a dense fog. He sought control through repetitive motions and isolating objects, engaging in what he describes as stereotypical and often destructive and antisocial behaviors.
As a way to cope.
As a means of temporary relief and security, yeah. And his deep unhappiness led to this almost tangible resentment of others' joy.
I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
Counting the laughs.
Yes. He vividly recounts meticulously counting Denise's laughs, marking each one with an X on paper, his way of subtracting something from her happiness, driven by his own despair.
That's intense.
Incredibly. He longed desperately for friends he could be emotionally connected with, yet struggled immensely with what he calls the emotional undertow that would pull him into frustration and despair.
So even wanting connection caused distress.
Yes. We see this intensity even in his crush on his 7th grade science teacher, Miss Jillian. It became this intense possessiveness, thinking, if she truly cared about me, she wouldn't have allowed them into her room during our time.
Wow. That immediate, intense emotional response.
Yeah.
Often overwhelming and hard to modulate. That really defines his path.
It does.
So this distinction, path A and path B, it's incredibly crucial for parents, teachers, really anyone interacting with individuals on the spectrum.
Absolutely vital.
Because if you're a parent, say, who's always encouraged your child to talk about their feelings, to connect,
Right.
and they're more of a path A thinker, like Temple, what kind of frustration might you be unwittingly causing?
Well, you might be demanding an emotional response that simply isn't their primary mode of processing. It's like asking them to speak a language they don't natively understand.
So appealing to one path with strategies designed for the other.
It's likely to be largely ineffective, yeah. It highlights the urgent need for highly tailored approaches, not some one-size-fits-all model for social skills instruction.
It's about respecting the innate building materials one is born with.
Exactly. Temple herself notes that when senses are distorted or anxiety is pervasive, a child's true potential might never be discovered.
Why is that?
Because they're expending all their energy just dealing with an invasive world rather than being receptive to social learning.
So it's not just about different learning styles.
No, it's about different fundamental ways of being in the world.
Okay, so we've seen how vastly different the starting points can be. Path A, path B.
Right.
But what are the universal building blocks? The bedrock principles that anyone, regardless of their innate wiring, needs to master to navigate the social world effectively.
The authors call them the 4 cornerstones of social awareness.
Right, the 4 cornerstones. What are these foundational attributes and why are they so pivotal?
Okay, first we have perspective taking.
Perspective taking.
For many of us, the idea that someone else has their own internal world, distinct from ours, It's so ingrained we don't even think about it.
It's automatic.
But for individuals on the spectrum, particularly those just beginning their social journey, this is not an intuitive given.
It has to be learned.
It has to be learned. It's not just a casual idiom about walking a mile in someone else's shoes. It's the fundamental acknowledgement that other people exist as separate entities with their own unique viewpoints, their own emotions, their own responses.
That basic recognition.
For some, even that basic recognition that their truth or their immediate perception isn't the only one can be a profound and learned step. It's the absolute starting point for understanding that social interaction involves more than just your own internal state.
And it really makes you consider how often we, as neurotypicals, unconsciously assume others see the world exactly as we do,
We do it all the time.
or that their emotional reactions mirror ours.
The book emphasizes that for individuals with ASD, this is a conscious learned skill. It requires deliberate observation and meticulous data collection.
So what are the practical steps then? Beyond just saying, put yourself in their shoes, how do you cultivate this skill?
Well, it often involves explicit teaching, really direct, like when she crosses her arms, it means she's uncomfortable, or when he looks away like that, he's probably losing interest.
Giving them the data points.
Exactly, providing the specific data points that neurotypical brains often process automatically.
Okay, so that's perspective taking. What's next?
Second, flexible thinking.
Flexible thinking.
This is the ability to accept change, to respond effectively to shifting conditions, whether it's in the environment or in a social interaction, and to process alternatives to what is concrete or rigidly expected.
Which directly confronts that common black and white thinking you see on the spectrum.
Precisely, where rules can seem absolute and any deviation can cause significant distress.
Right. I remember that anecdote from Rebecca Moyes.
Oh, the shoes. Yes.
Her son, when asked to wipe your shoes before coming into the house, meticulously wiped only the tops of his shoes.
A perfect illustration of that literal, inflexible interpretation. He was following the rule as he understood it, literally.
Not as it was intended.
Exactly. He lacked the flexibility to interpret the intent behind the rule.
And Temple's own journey in developing her rule system that really embodies this flexibility, but through her logical lens, right?
Completely. She categorized rules into really bad things, courtesy rules, and negotiable rules.
Based on purpose and probability of harm.
Yes. For instance, she'd allow a little bit of speeding, maybe 5 miles over the limit. Why?
Because her logical mind calculated the chance of an accident as like 0.01%. So negligible. She deemed it a negotiable rule.
Okay.
But running a red light, that was a really bad thing.
A much higher risk.
Because the probability of causing an accident was way higher, 10, 20% or more. It was a learned logical system for her, not an intuitive social grace.
But society isn't always logical, is it? So could Temple's purely logical approach to a negotiable rule still fall flat sometimes, if it doesn't account for the emotional or unspoken part of an interaction?
Oh, absolutely. And that analytic insight is key. The development of flexible thinking is a fundamental precursor to navigating social nuances.
Where rules are rarely absolute.
And context is everything, yeah. This is a critical area where structured teaching can make a profound difference, emphasizing phrases like, in this situation, versus in a different situation.
To show how rules flex.
Exactly, to illustrate how rules can vary. Without this flexibility, social understanding remains extremely challenging. It leads to rigidity, frustration. So equipping individuals with the mental frameworks to adapt, not just memorize rules.
That's the goal. That's the teacher aspect.
Yeah.
Okay. Cornerstone number 3.
Number 3.
Positive self-esteem.
Self-esteem.
And the book is very clear here. This isn't built on inflated praise for every little trivial effort.
No empty praise.
No, it's built on authentic, repeated accomplishments, things you actually did.
Right, which fosters that can-do attitude.
And the willingness to take risks in social situations, because you know you can handle things, you know you can learn. False praise, the authors argue, is actually detrimental.
Why is that?
Because it teaches nothing about genuine effort or consequence. It's meaningless.
Yeah, the contrast with some modern parenting trends, that constant, undifferentiated praise, it's really sharp here.
It is. True self-esteem isn't about being told you're special. It's about knowing you can achieve something through effort.
Like Temple's experience.
Exactly. Temple's self-esteem grew from actually creating art, singing a solo in an adult concert, winning a trophy, earning praise for something significant, as she puts it.
Real accomplishments.
Not for merely putting on her Sunday school dress or eating all her dinner. Her mother and nanny wisely reinforced real achievements.
And Sean's journey, too.
Yes, starting from feeling like an utter failure after musical mistakes.
It's that black and white thinking again.
Right. But he gained confidence through real accomplishments later, like being named Big Brother of the Year for the Youngstown area.
Something he worked for.
A result of his persistent effort to learn and make adjustments in his relationship with his little brother. True self-esteem provides the internal resilience needed to persist through social challenges and setbacks.
To understand that mistakes are part of learning.
Not a reflection of inherent worthlessness, it gives you the courage to try again.
Okay, and the final cornerstone.
Number 4 is motivation.
Motivation.
This refers to a sustained interest in exploring the world and pursuing goals despite setbacks.
So perseverance.
Yes, and a really powerful insight here is to harness a child's existing fixations or intense interests.
Like trains or dinosaurs or whatever it is.
Exactly, and broaden them to motivate learning, including social interaction, rather than trying to extinguish them.
It feels brilliant, but it really challenges conventional wisdom, doesn't it?
It does.
What's the biggest misconception parents or educators might have when they try to extinguish these fixations instead of harnessing them? What's the long-term cost of not leveraging these intrinsic motivations?
Well, the biggest misconception is that these fixations are inherently bad or just obsessions that need to be cured. They're seen as problems.
Instead of potential tools.
Exactly. But as the book points out, this shifts the paradigm entirely. We're leveraging them as powerful tools for engagement and skill development. We're respecting the individual's inherent drive.
Like the examples in the book.
Yeah, the brilliant example of a child who loved trains being taught reading and math using train-themed materials. You use what they love.
Or the crash box.
Right. A crash box being used as a reward for appropriate behavior for a child who loves crashing sounds, instead of judging the destructive behavior as inherently bad.
You channel it.
The parents turned it into a highly motivating reward to help the child learn more acceptable behaviors, like sitting quietly or waiting their turn.
It was smart.
And Temple herself was intrinsically motivated to build things. Her mother wisely encouraged exposure to diverse activities, understanding that work and contributions provide meaning and happiness for many on the spectrum.
It's a powerful message.
It is. For some, happiness isn't necessarily about emotional relatedness or traditional social connection. It's about a satisfying job or hobby that aligns with their innate strengths and allows them to contribute meaningfully.
And to stifle that.
Is to stifle a part of their authentic self.
Okay, so the book then dives into 10 specific unwritten rules. Each one reveals another layer of social complexity that often just goes unsaid.
The hidden curriculum.
We've laid out the groundwork with the 2 paths and the 4 cornerstones. Now let's get into some specific unwritten rules.
Okay.
We're going to group these rules into 2 key themes today. First, understanding how individuals on the spectrum approach mistakes and accountability.
A big one.
And second, the nuance of communication and impression. All right, let's start with that core truth about human fallibility. Rule #3. Everyone in the world makes mistakes. It doesn't have to ruin your day.
Seems simple enough.
Seems straightforward, almost simplistic, right?
Yeah.
But for some, particularly individuals with ASD, a single error can feel like, well, a catastrophic personal failure, an indictment of their very being.
Absolutely devastating.
How do Temple and Sean, with their distinct processing styles, illustrate this profound difference in coping with error?
Well, Sean's experience highlights this profoundly and frankly painfully. His black and white thinking
There it is again.
led him to view every single mistake as undeniable proof that he was a mistake. He recounts his early piano lessons where each bad note I played served as a sharp reminder that I had failed yet again. His feelings of worthlessness were just deeply tied to perceived errors.
So he couldn't separate the action from his identity.
No, he struggled with the underlying rule that practice makes perfect. He actually resented the effort involved, even when it led to progress.
Because he already felt like a failure.
He had this deep-seated belief that he was a failure. And this conviction meant that any error simply reinforced that identity. He felt utterly paralyzed by the fear of imperfection.
That sounds exhausting.
It does. Later in life, however, he learned the power of "I'm sorry" as a situation repair skill.
Ah, a tool.
Recognizing, for instance, after an outburst with his mother that avoiding a problem doesn't make it go away.
Taking responsibility.
Yes. And his profound regret over teasing his dog McGill when he was young, that led him to seek work at an animal shelter years later.
Turning regret into action.
It became a constructive channel for his sadness and guilt, embodying that broader rule. We all make mistakes. They don't have to ruin your life. It shows an event's journey from emotional paralysis by mistakes to finding constructive outlets and learning.
That's huge growth. Now, Temple, her experience was different.
Very different. With her logical mind and thinking in pictures, she processed mistakes. Well, differently. For her, a mistake was a faulty problem-solving issue.
A glitch in the system.
Exactly. Not an indictment of her worth or a personal flaw. She recalls that it wasn't as tied into my sense of self.
That separation again.
And her mother's approach reinforced this logical problem-solving mindset. Instead of just scolding for leaving silverware in the wrong position.
What did she do?
She would consistently say, Temple, put your silverware in the 4 o'clock position. Always showing the right way to do things rather than focusing on the wrong.
Direct corrective instruction.
Which directly addressed the skill deficit without triggering feelings of emotional worthlessness. This distinction is vital. Are we addressing a skill deficit or a self-esteem issue rooted in emotional processing?
That's a key question.
Temple's anxiety, when it occurred, was physiological, she realized later, not tied to her mistakes or a need for perfection. Even early in her career, when a client unfairly criticized her work.
What happened?
Her initial perfectionist syndrome tempted her to just quit, but her logical mind, actually aided by a friend, recognized it as a jerk category problem.
Meaning the client was being unreasonable.
Right. It wasn't a reflection of her own failing.
It's fascinating how those two experiences, both related to the same unwritten rule, reveal such different internal landscapes and require such different teaching approaches.
Worlds apart.
That distinction, skill deficit versus emotional worthlessness, that's so powerful. But for many listeners, who might struggle with their own perfectionism, how can they apply Temple's logical, data-driven approach to their own personal mistakes, even if their anxiety is tied to emotions?
That's a great question. I think for anyone, Temple's approach offers a masterclass in separating the event from the self.
Okay.
When a mistake happens, rather than internalizing it as, I'm a failure, the logical mind, even if you have to consciously activate it, says, okay, this specific action resulted in an undesirable outcome. What data can I extract from this to modify my next action?
So reframing it as a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shifting from internal blame to external problem solving, which then leads directly into rule #10. People are responsible for their own behaviors.
Rule #10. Accountability.
It's a heavy concept, right? Especially when intertwined with deep-seated emotional challenges or biological predispositions, it implies agency and control in a world that can often feel chaotic and for some just overwhelming.
Absolutely. How does Sean navigate this?
Well, Sean, for example, battled deep-seated anger and a strong tendency to blame others. He felt powerless, constantly reprimanded.
The victim mindset.
Yeah. He felt he was bad and his sister was good. His breakthrough came from recognizing his own responsibility. He famously applied the 3-second rule.
The 3-second rule.
To avoid impulsive, angry responses. Just pause for 3 seconds before reacting.
Give yourself space.
Exactly. He realized that most people's unhappiness is not solely the result of forces beyond their control. Much of it comes from how we handle what's dealt us.
Taking ownership.
He had to learn that his actions and attitudes had consequences, and he was accountable for them. This was a profound shift from feeling like a victim to having personal agency.
Was it easy?
Oh, not at all. His parents, he noted, kept talking to him, thinking of his brain as complex wiring, and the longer and more persistently they explained, the more likely the connections would be made, leading him to realize he was capable of working to become the person I wanted to be. It wasn't immediate. It was a tireless, continuous effort.
That persistence is key.
Yeah.
And others in the book shared insights too, right? On anger.
Yes. Kathy Grant and Jerry Newport, also adults with autism, offer further insights on anger management. They recognize that biology often plays a significant role.
Like sensory overload.
Exactly. Kathy, for instance, described getting very physical and violent at home when angry at herself for losing things, even kicking a hole in the wall. She notes that her anger management tends to be dictated by the situation and how safe I feel in controlling it or letting it loose.
So context matters even for managing internal states.
And Jerry Newport highlights that for many with ASD, anger can stem from being teased, misunderstood, abused in therapy, or simply overwhelmed by sensory input. He emphasizes the need to understand the roots of the behavior,
not just the behavior itself.
stating that often biology rather than psychology is the culprit. He learned to use that 3-second rule, too, to avoid immediate unpleasant responses. It allows a new thought to surface, provides a window for choice.
Creating that pause.
This nuanced understanding suggests that while accountability is paramount, effective intervention requires understanding the roots of certain behaviors, whether biological, learned, or due to a lack of data and tools.
It's not just about willpower.
No. It's about giving the individual the tools, the understanding, and sometimes even medical intervention necessary to exert control. Temple, too, found that her severe panic attacks, which significantly impeded her social engagement,
We're biological.
were rooted in faulty biochemistry and were correctable with medication, illustrating how addressing underlying physiological issues can unlock social potential.
So it's about equipping individuals with the full spectrum of tools, cognitive strategies like the 3-second rule, logical problem solving, and acknowledging and addressing biological underpinnings to foster true self-responsibility.
Rather than simply demanding behavioral change without support,
Yes.
providing the data and mechanisms for control.
Okay, moving from personal responsibility to outward interaction.
Yep.
Let's explore the delicate balance of Rule #4. Honesty isn't always the best policy.
Yes. A controversial one.
It really challenges a deeply ingrained societal value, doesn't it? We're often taught from a young age, always tell the truth.
But it's more complex than that in social reality.
So how do Temple and Sean's experiences highlight the pitfalls and the practical, sometimes even strategic, applications of this rule?
Well, Sean's experiences profoundly highlight the pitfalls of unfiltered honesty. Brutal honesty.
Examples.
His blunt declaration, "I hate it," about a friend's organic salad. Or his unadulterated anger at receiving a Monopoly game he already owned as a gift. A gift he then threw back in the giver's face.
Oh, wow.
It illustrates how literal truthfulness, without any diplomacy, can really wound others and create social distance. He lacked the capacity to see beyond his own immediate feelings and expectations.
That black and white thinking again.
Exactly. It prevented him from understanding the nuance. He recalls his mother's gentle attempts to explain the impact of his harsh words, but without the data, it didn't register for him at the time.
He couldn't process the social implications.
His rigid all-or-nothing thinking made it impossible for him to consider that honesty could be situation-dependent, or that his feelings might not be the only valid ones in that moment.
Okay, so that's the pitfall. How did Temple navigate this?
Temple demonstrates how to navigate this unwritten rule through logical categorization and a profound understanding of consequences. More data-driven.
Her rule system again.
Kind of. She learned that the degree of honesty of my response can be lower if the situation isn't critical.
Like the Aunt Bella's hat example.
Exactly. Aunt Bella's hideous hat. Temple wouldn't lie and say it was beautiful, but if asked directly, she'd find something positive but neutral, like it's a pretty color, or it matches her outfit nicely.
A white lie, sort of. Or strategic truth.
More strategic truth, maybe. The key for Temple was weighing the importance and potential impact. If the hat were made of poisonous materials, her frankness would be immediate and absolute.
Because safety trumps feelings.
Because it might injure her. This illustrates a practical application of categorical thinking and weighing importance. I had to be frank about that because it might injure her.
That makes sense.
Her workplace experiences further solidified this. She learned that criticizing a colleague's welding as pigeon turds, though factually accurate in her view,
Was undiplomatic.
massively required an apology. And later, her direct letter to a company president detailing senior engineers' stupid mistakes.
Factually correct, she thought.
Probably. But it cost her her job. It taught her that you simply cannot tell other people they are stupid, even if they really are stupid, especially your boss.
Ouch. A hard lesson.
A very hard lesson.
That's incredibly methodical, almost like an engineer's approach to social norms. So this teaches us that social communication isn't just about conveying facts.
No, it's fundamentally about managing relationships and emotions.
It's a learned skill of strategic self-expression, where, as Temple put it, sometimes silence or no comment was the most appropriate one, especially in situations that are too emotionally complex or, frankly, irrelevant.
Knowing when not to speak.
It's about understanding the impact of your words on others, which requires that highly developed perspective-taking and flexible thinking we talked about.
Exactly.
You know, this reminds me of when I was a kid and my aunt knitted me the ugliest sweater. I wish I'd had Temple's framework then.
Right.
It's amazing how much social friction we could avoid if we all had a little poisonous materials test for our honesty, isn't it?
It's true. The goal isn't dishonesty, but effective communication that preserves relationships. And if you're not getting direct feedback, how do you even know if your words are having the desired effect?
Or if maybe you're actually turning people off.
Which leads us perfectly into rule #8. Know when you're turning people off.
Rule #8. This feels like a big one.
It is. This is an area where unspoken feedback can be devastating, particularly given the often missed social cues that are so vital for neurotypicals.
So how do you learn this if the cues are subtle?
Well, this is where the direct feedback Temple received in her youth proved invaluable.
People told her straight.
Yes, her mother or nanny would tell her directly, "Temple, that's enough about that subject." Or friends would say, "Temple, stop talking about those stupid posters."
Wow, blunt.
Her headmaster was equally blunt. "Temple, you're really boring the kids. It's okay to talk about the funhouse a couple of times, but after repeating it 10 or 15 times, nobody wants to hear about it anymore."
That's direct feedback.
Crucial feedback. For many on the spectrum, these cues are just not intuitive. They don't automatically register the subtle shifts in eye contact, body language, or vocal tone that signal disinterest.
Like Sean's experience with astronomy facts.
Exactly. Sean would recount astronomical facts with passion, not realizing his friend's polite but flat, "That's nice," or "Really, that's interesting," were signals of disinterest, not encouragement.
He misread the cues.
He notes, "I sensed that I was boring this friend." The nonverbal cues were not completely lost on me, but accompanying my suspicion was the belief that the more I talked about what I was interested in, the more she would come around and become interested.
Thinking more information would win her over.
Instead, it always produced the opposite effect. Classic mistake.
Right.
Temple's detached sociologist perspective allowed her to observe even a 3-hour conversation among pharmaceutical salesmen about sports-themed nothing, as she called it.
And what did she make of that?
Recognizing that while it turned her off completely no data, she understood that majority rules in group conversation. She got the social function of such conversations, even if they lacked substance for her.
She could analyze it even if she didn't enjoy it.
Right. The book highlights that turning people off happens on the spot and has immediate repercussions. It can be due to appearance, words, tone, body language, personal eccentricities.
Lots of ways to get it wrong.
Poor hygiene, monopolizing conversations, ill-timed remarks, these are universal turnoffs. But the expectation that adults just know better often leaves individuals with ASD floundering.
Because they weren't taught explicitly.
The burden is on them to learn to recognize subtle cues, body language, tone, eye contact, which for others are automatic. This highlights the immense effort required to appear normal.
And the value of direct, explicit instruction.
Absolutely. Many people won't tell you directly that you're turning them off. They simply back away, create distance, lose interest. This makes it a continuous learning process for individuals with ASD. They have to become social detectives.
Painstakingly collecting data on human behavior.
Exactly.
It's a striking reminder that social fluency often relies on interpreting cues that are not explicitly taught. And that for some, this interpretive work is a demanding, conscious process, not an intuitive dance. The sheer effort involved in mastering these unwritten rules is truly something to appreciate. And it challenges us, the neurotypicals, maybe to be more direct and compassionate in our feedback.
That would certainly help, instead of just expecting intuition where it doesn't exist.
So the overarching truth woven throughout this deep dive. It seems to be that social understanding isn't a fixed state. It's not a finish line you cross.
No, definitely not.
It's a dynamic, continuous process, a lifelong education, as the authors repeatedly emphasize through their own ongoing journeys.
Constantly learning, constantly adapting.
It's not about transforming into someone else, but learning to navigate the world as authentically as possible, right? Carving out a space for one's true self.
Precisely. Success in life for individuals on the spectrum is often defined differently. It might be by their job, their contributions, satisfying friendships based on shared interests.
Rather than purely emotional relatedness.
For some, yes. Temple points out that her success in life is defined by her job, her friends, and her contribution to society, not by becoming emotionally related in the typical sense.
It's about adapting to the world as it is.
Which sometimes means navigating challenges that are physiological rather than purely psychological.
Like Temple's panic attacks.
Exactly. Temple's realization that her severe panic attacks were rooted in faulty biochemistry and were correctable with medication, that profoundly transformed her ability to engage socially.
It wasn't a social skills deficit per se.
No. She notes, my social skills got better and my ability to see the social interactions going on around me improved significantly when I started taking antidepressants to control my anxiety. That was a pivotal moment.
Shifting the obstacle.
From a personal failing to a solvable biological issue.
And Sean's journey, too. From being convinced he'd be a criminal as a child to living independently, holding down a job, having successful relationships that underscores his continuous adaptation.
Absolutely. He emphasizes that he had to learn to control the helm of his life and emotions, even if the process was anything but easy.
Managing that emotional undertow.
That once threatened to capsize him entirely. Yes.
So this really challenges the perception that all social difficulties are purely behavioral or psychological.
It does. Sometimes, as Temple states, biology rather than psychology is the culprit.
And addressing underlying issues.
Like sensory overload or anxiety with appropriate interventions, be it diet, exercise, medication, can unlock an individual's potential for social engagement. It allows them to focus on social learning rather than just managing overwhelming internal states.
Right, like Donna Williams finding relief with diet changes.
Yes, Donna Williams, another noted Aspie writer, found that a gluten casein-free diet combined with a tiny bit of medication enabled her to tolerate convention centers enough to speak. It illustrates this holistic approach to responsibility for one's behaviors.
So it's not about fixing who they are.
No, it's about removing physiological barriers to their ability to engage and learn.
What's fascinating here is that despite the immense personal effort, the goal isn't to fundamentally change who you are. It's not about becoming neurotypical.
Not at all.
It's to find ways to exist authentically and successfully within a neurotypical world. Finding your unique place in that grand play, as Temple calls it.
Absolutely. It's about learning your part in the grand play that is life, recognizing that you can be distinct and still socially acceptable.
That's a great quote.
It means taking personal responsibility for your growth and continuously accumulating data on your hard drive through direct experience. Because, as they both emphasize, you can't learn social skills by yourself.
You need the interaction, the feedback loop.
Temple describes her mind as like Google for images, and the more experiences she amassed, the more information on the hard drive she had to make appropriate responses.
Building that internal database.
There's no magic bullet. It's a process of trial, error, relentless learning, and a willingness to put oneself out in the world and learn by doing.
For both Temple and Sean.
Despite their profound differences in how they process the world, the journey has been one of continuous effort, observation, and adjustment to live fulfilling, engaged lives. They built their social intuition piece by piece, observation by observation. #tag outro.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Whether you're directly connected to the autism community, or maybe just seeking to better understand the vast landscape of human interaction. This deep dive offers some really profound insights. It compels us to consider how our own minds work, doesn't it? How we process information, and how we navigate those unspoken rules that shape our lives.
Absolutely.
It highlights the immense internal work some individuals undertake just to exist and thrive in a socially complex world. It makes you question how much we take for granted.
It really does. And this raises an important question, I think. If social success is a learned process dependent on gathering data and developing flexible thinking, what unwritten rules are you implicitly following or unknowingly breaking in your own interactions?
Ooh, turning the lens back on ourselves.
And how might a conscious analytical approach to social dynamics, much like Temple's social scientist perspective, enrich your own hard drive of understanding? How could it improve your interactions with the diverse minds around you?
Like, consider how much you take for granted in social situations.
And what you might gain by observing them with fresh eyes, as though you too are collecting data for a deeper understanding of human connection.
That's a truly insightful challenge. Perhaps the greatest takeaway, then, is the power of observation, the value of continuous learning.
And the profound impact of truly understanding the diverse ways in which human minds perceive and engage with the world.
It invites a deeper, more empathetic, and maybe more effective engagement with everyone you encounter.
The deep dive continues for us all, really, in every single interaction.